welcome to Boggy Creek Life for an episode of This Is How I Did This at Harley Skin Tone. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you very much, appreciated. If you're new to the channel, what I do is give modeling tips here and there, a lot of reviews, stuff like that. I just don't feel like showing my face today. I just got off of work and it's real hot out. And I already videoed me painting this, but I have to edit it now, and that's going to be a long process as well, try to shorten it down for you guys. But this is just a quick look at everything where it is right now. Got the name right there. Got pumpkins glued together. There's going to be lights going in here, back to there. And I'm also getting some lights off of Star Lighting Projects, Matthew Lawrence, that's going to run in here and shine this way, and run over here and shine this way. Going to try to get some lighting going on, dramatic effects, whatnot. But today we're going to be focusing on its skin and how to achieve this simple, nice skin tone. This is all going to be covered with blood and dirt anyways, so alright, let's go ahead and get into that. This video is going to be long enough. Okay, so what you'll basically need is, we've got a figure which we already know is Ed Harley. I looked up a reference picture, which I'm going to keep on my laptop off to the side. 3 basic base skin shades. You can use any brand you want, but I got basic skin tone, and light and dark. And just a good pure blue, yellow, and a transparent red. And these are going to end up being washes anyway. So, but yeah, I just use the bright, like true form of the color I could find, you know. Some sponges, cups, your Wawa, a spritzer with alcohol, not a squirter, but a spritzer, a mister, atomizer, whatever you want to call it. Some of your favorite brushes that you're most comfortable with. And I'm going to airbrush it on. Your skin tones, I mean, you can brush them on in thin layers, but you have to do it multiple layers, because you can always make it darker, you know, or more dominant. But you can't go backwards unless you just wipe it all off. Alrighty. Let's get to cracking. Alright, so first off I'm gonna take the base skin tone. And I already put it on the shaker and shook it up for a good while because, well, I paint more monsters than I do people, so this skin tone sits for quite a while. I'll get me a good little amount in there, because I got to do hands too. Put a little bit of water in there, because we're going to run it through the airbrush. It says, I've always read, make the consistency of milk, but it seems like a pretty watery milk works the best. Around 60-40, something like that. You know, you got to spray it through and adjust accordingly. I always use my little mixing thing because I like it. I put a cup of water here to wash that off in when I'm done. Hold it down in there. Run it around, make sure it's all nice and good. Don't pull it out with it still spinning. Stick it in the water. Shut it off. Voila, clean. Pour it in here. I've got a test board that I always spray stuff on first. It's funny, I've had this for like 4 or 5 years, this same piece of cardboard. Make sure you get a good flow, not too watery. I already did some OSL primering on this. Kind of, you can tell, primed him black first and then hit him from a certain direction. Kind of like up. Let's go ahead and this is going to be interesting to try to do with the camera in my face. I keep my compressor turned up a little bit. It's about 30 psi because I like to do things a little bit from a distance. And there's many ways to do this. I just kind of watched some YouTube videos. I mean, that's a plethora of information out there for you to use, just like you're watching this. And I watched some different ones, and I kind of took what I liked and left what I didn't, and threw a little bit of my own ideas in there, and because everybody's got their own style, and that's okay. That's how we come up with so many different beautiful art forms. It can be a little tougher when you have to paint stuff that's already put together. Some of the angles are harder to get to. Might have to go back in and hit some areas, make sure that primer ain't showing through as much. At least on the well lit side. And I know, like, his hands look rough. You know, I didn't sand it down or anything, because at this point in the game, in the movie, he's all dirty and shit anyways. He's been fighting in the dirt, and he's got dirt all over him, as you saw in the picture I showed earlier. So, we're going to show that in our kit. We're going to paint all that stuff on. You can see the more paint you put on it starts to look a little more fleshy tone than it does a yellow. I think initially it was looking like a yellow color. But your flesh, you got to remember, has all different tones of colors in it. Alrighty. Go ahead and clean out our airbrush real quick. Now, me personally, I like to dust that with a coat of matte varnish. I have found that this is the flattest stuff that I've seen, and it's pretty much right out of the bottle, ready for airbrush. Or you can brush it on. Either way, I've got good results with either. I'm going to go ahead and dust that. It just helps if you make a mistake. It's easier to get it off and not have to take off your base coat and do all that again. Dries relatively quick if you want to sit and wait, or you can take a hair dryer to it. Alright, let's get ready to move on to the next shade. Now, since the skin is multiple different colors, I decided I'm going to take, that's the original, that's that. I'm going to drop some of this dark in it just to make it like a shade darker than the base tone. We got quite a bit of paint there, so maybe a few good blotches before we move straight on to the just using a dark flesh. I had to add a drop or two of water since we added more paint to it. And this is all just trial and error, man. Trial and error. Alright, we got a little more orangish, kind of peachish looking. And I'm just going to go in and just not do the whole thing, maybe towards the bottom of the musculatures. And then the shaded areas. You can kind of just dabble it in. You just don't want to cover the whole thing because you want to break up the tones, you know. Maybe just put it in into places where shadows would be starting. Make sure. See, I take the cap off of mine, the end. It makes it easier to get the tip dry off of it. And it just collects paint up in there for me. I don't know why. But that piece there, that screws on there, I take it off because it just collects paint. I basically turn it into a Sotar 2020. Kind of, sort of. Getting all on the bottom side where definitely would be shadows getting ready to start. So we can see a change in the color already, but you can also see the variations of light and darkers. There's some back cuts in there I had to blow some color into. You know, if you find out that you missed some of that later on or something, if you got that in your model, you can always go in with a brush and touch it up. Sometimes we just don't have the best situation for the best lighting. Times we're getting old and our eyes are getting bad. Sometimes we just miss it. Alrighty, now we'll go ahead and clean this out. Alright, so this time I just went ahead and made a cup of the straight dark flesh. See the kind of color there. I have horrible lighting in here. Sorry. Keeping it in the recessed areas. Still kind of loose. Going in, hitting under the muscles. Alrighty. Clean this out. I decided on the fly that I wanted a little more brownish reddish color in it, so I went ahead and grabbed this brown rose, and I just mixed it right in, right on top of the dark flesh that I had in the cup. Some guys can paint real fine with airbrush. I kind of use it for like a general thing, and then I go back in with brushes. So we'll go down here and see, this is like a test, so we'll go down here and try to test it on something that ain't that big. See how we like it. There you go, brings a little more flesh tone to it. Darker flesh tone. And yeah, it still looks a little yellowish. That's alright, we still got to put our highlights on and our washes. Going into the shadowed areas. Just putting a little bit of paint in there. Breaking up the colors. You can see the shadows starting to come out. A lot more predominant in person. It's getting there. Like right now, I'm barely blowing anything out. That's because the tip keeps drying. Now you see it's a little thicker. So if you clean your tip off, make sure you go back a little distance because you're going to end up putting a big old splat right on your model there. Because you're getting more paint than you were before the needle was dry. And I always try to make things look real. But the whole truth of reality is in real life, things are very subtle sometimes. And in kit building, sometimes you want to over exaggerate certain things like shadows, whatnot, to make them stand out, if I'm making any sense. So sometimes you might end up making things darker, or maybe the shades just don't blend exactly to give it a little more contrast. Because it's also, you're creating a piece of art. So you want it to be like aesthetic and eye-catching at the same time, and things flow a certain way. You want to make it interesting, you know. This is a very dramatic scene, so some dramatic coloring is not all that bad of an idea, you know. Getting down in our recesses, close to where the skin lays, the clothes lay. The shadowed areas, because see, you turn it up, that's going to be down. The beginning stuff usually goes quick. And usually when you get to the more tedious things, like this, it takes a little more time. Trying to get right down between them fingers there. His fingers got holes all in it. His fingernails are not going to be all nice and done up in this one. I didn't go in and fill them with putty and sand it and all that because, like I said, this is a battle scene. Alright, this has ran for 16 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead, finish this up, and I'll start recording again when we get to the next stage. Okay, so if you remember, that was our dark flesh with a good healthy dose of brown rose in it. I went in and had finished hitting some more areas. And then I took and added, I went and added some more water to it to make it just a little thinner and kind of give it like a dusting over the lighter areas. Because it was looking a little yellowish to me, and that helped really tone it down some. And, it's still going to get highlighted and all that. But I also decided to, now that we're going to go for our straight brown rose darker color, I'm going to add just a drop or two of burnt sienna to it and really get down in them shadows. Try to make stuff pop out before I hit and put the highlights on. Alright, get a good little bit of it in there. Shake this up for a long time, I did. Just going to put a couple drops of that in there. Got the big old bubbly snots hanging out there. Ooh. One more. We'll see what that gets us. This brown looks pretty pigment rich. Once again, good healthy dose of the wah-wah. Let's see what that renders. Hmm. Looks like we may go. Hmm. Maybe a drop more of the burnt umber. Okay, 3 drops. Hit the places first that you can easily fix if you don't like it. Well, now that I'm getting to see that color in the light, I don't know, I can't really tell. It's much more of a different shade than that or not. It's a little darker, not much. Well, we'll go ahead and hit some of these places with it. Let's give it just a hint darker. And also, before I went ahead and did this, I used our Ultra Matte in case something happened. It'd be easier to get off. I'm really just going in like this. Really recessed places. And you can see once again, it's giving us a nice little bit of reds, browns, and with our flesh. And the flesh was kind of yellow to start with. But it's breaking it up, giving us a nice tone. And you don't have to lay it all on at once. Like for me, I like to just barely press and give any paint out, because you can bring it up to where you want it, but it's hard to take back. I am no master airbrusher by any means. I don't even consider myself a good one. I can just kind of get by and get done what I need to get done with it. You can see how things are starting to come together. Once again, it's more predominant in person. Get the hand over there. I'm using a mounted phone camera thing, and I want to test it, make sure it's nice and watery, kind of not watery, but light, thin, I guess is the optimum word I'm looking for. A little more water. You don't want water beating up on your model when you spray it. So I turned the airbrush to get, cover some area. but it's also going to let your paint flow out a little more. There you go. You see, like, you got to hold it there for a minute for it to get cold. So that's what I want. Now I can just kind of mist it with it. Blend them tones in together. Once again, breaks it up. Gets you a little micro splotchy dotchy thing going that people like to do. Because the one thing, you know, you can't see the flecks of color in my skin. So at 1/6 scale, I don't see much of the point of taking the paintbrush and flicking it on there, because it's going to end up way, way bigger than what it would actually be in real life. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it's a bad idea or anything like that. But to me, if you thin your paint down and, you know, you get a good distance back, because that atomizer is going to, you know, separate the particles. It's not going to be all together like it is close. And just get you a good blow on there. You're basically doing the same thing. And it's a lot closer to doing it at the scale that your piece is in. Now, if I was working on something bigger, yeah, I'd do the brush flicky thingy and all that good stuff. But, you know, this is small. Alrighty, so I like where we're with that. We'll go ahead and clean this out, and we'll head on to the next. Okay, so what I did next was put another coat of our matte over top of it. And then I took our rose brown with just a little bit of burnt sienna in it, burnt umber in it, I mean. And I just went in hard with burnt umber and water. Want this really diluted, because we're just going to go in the deepest of the recessions. Real light. Start back here, because I want to see what's going to happen. It's giving us a nice little dark flesh tone. Little shadow flesh. Which I actually do have a color called shadow flesh somewhere, but I don't know. I wanted to use this. So that's what it is. You know, if you want to make it darker in the area, put it on a little more. You know, it's not like you can't always, I like to go back in sometimes with like pastels. I like to go back in with washes, you know, oils. And we're not even done yet. You know, we still have to put the highlight color on. May add another highlight on top of that, and we still have to do our 3 washes. So sorry, this is a long ass video, but I haven't made a long one in a while anyways, and nobody sits and watches them anyway, so it's basically for me, but that's okay. Getting right down in there in our bringing out nice definition. That shadow just creep a little bit around the side. And you know, we'll put some wash up in there around the shirt. Probably either dark brown wash or black wash or something, you know, to give it that pop of shadow between the sleeve and the the hand. Now just going in there like right up against the shirt area. Every once in a while, it's like I ain't getting nothing out, so I'll open it up, blow it out, whatever. Blow some paint through it, do your needle check, run it back down to your amount that you want. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and finish that off camera. Get another coat of clear on it, and then we'll move on to the highlights. Okay, so I went ahead and mixed up our highlight shade here, Light Flesh. Right there, pretty light, pretty watery. I probably do about 50-60% water. Once again, we're only going in the highest spots with this. Very lightly. Make sure you get your spray down. Already coated this with our matte varnish again, just in case. We already did pretty good with our highlights anyways. This is really just adding another color in there to it, making it pop just a little. And I'm going to go ahead and finish that up and then bring you back when that's done. And now for the fun part, because the airbrush is off. Take this yellow. I'll put just a little bit in there because it's going to be way more water than it is paint. I've cleared this once again with the matte varnish. Get the wah-wah here. And you're just wanting to tint this. So I'll put a bunch of water in there. I mean, I want this watery. Also get a sponge too, if I don't like it. Or you can just blot it to make it kind of like a spattering skin, you know, blotchy like skin. Skin ain't perfect. And like I said, a good tip, if you're trying stuff new or stuff you're not all that familiar with, like me, I'm not that familiar with human skin tones. Put a little more water in it, because you can always make it darker if you have to. And always test it out first on an area that you're not really, you can hide easily. Like the back of the hand. Or just the hand in general. Yeah, I think it makes it too yellow. So I do some blotting. Don't look too bad. I'm going to trust the process. This is the second time I've done this, and I liked how it came out in the video I seen in the end, so trust in the process. And I'm just going in, not trying to take it totally off, just dry it up a little. Get the big puddles, obviously. You don't want it sitting in your details, really. Just trying to tint the surface. Now I'm going to do like his chest up to a certain point. It dries kind of fast. I don't want it to be totally dry so I can get it off of there. And go in and blotch at it. If you got recesses and stuff down in your kit, you can either use the edge of a sponge to get in there, or you can use a thirsty brush, dip it down in there, wipe your brush off, take it down in there, sop that out. And look, I had a chunk of paint come off. I'll have to touch that up later. It's funny, I had that happen on another model before that I was doing this too. Weird. Okay, but I'm going to let that dry. Go ahead and touch that up. And then I'm going to blow my clear over it before we go to the next one. Okay, so we've got a good heavy coat of the varnish on there. I did it with a hairdryer to make sure it's nice and good, because this next part always scares me. But it's supposed to be where you get your good red tint blotchiness of the skin from. Transparent red. Again, not much. It's going to be mostly water. But in this step of the game, go ahead and put our water in there. Bunch of water. In this step of the game, when you put your wash on, you don't want it to dry completely. You spritz it with a little alcohol. Go back in. We'll have a fresh sponge for this color. And blotch it off, and that's supposed to give you your splotchiness and your red tints on your skin. Nice, good runny. You can see it kind of, maybe a little bit more water. And this is all practice and preference. You can't be afraid to mess nothing up, or you're never going to learn anything. That's for one damn thing I can tell you for sure. And if worse comes to worse, you could reprimer it and repaint it. No path traveled and no road forged. Alrighty, so I think we're going to try that. Once again, I'm going to hit the hand. Get it all on there nice and good. You can still see it's shiny. Not dry quite yet. Alrighty. Still shiny. Oh, gotta take the lid off of it. Little spritzer bottle got off of Amazon. A couple spritzes and blot. You can see it takes some of the paint off, which is what it's supposed to do. And it does give you a nice flesh tone over that yellow. Trust the process. I mean, look at it. It makes it look too totally different. It looks like you got jaundice up here. Getting there. Let's go ahead and spritz it. Peachish, palish skin color, hand color down there. Let's move on to the other hand. Nice. So you ever know if you want to paint somebody with jaundice, the yellow is the part where you stop. Same thing, the inside of the palm. Make sure you keep it stirred up. Your cup, your whatever you're using. Spritz. Blotch. As you see, I got that little thing worked out. We may just take a piece of mud and stick it there or something, but it didn't come out bad, that little touch up. Nice flesh tone colored. Dry, dry, dry. Spritz. Blotch. Tell me that ain't a damn game changer right there. Tell me. And like I said, I learned all this stuff off of YouTube. You guys can watch it just like you're watching this and learn it. You just have to not be afraid to try. And you could get more into this if you want. You could make little veins and all that. I didn't. Another guy, even instead of using water to dilute his stuff, he used airbrush thinner because he said it dries quicker because he didn't like the weight. But yeah, I don't. To me, water, you're not even waiting that long because it's pretty dries pretty quick. Alrighty, last and final, the face. I want to work kind of quickly because I don't want it to dry. I want to get a Make sure it's all covered. Brush a little thirsty, get that extra stuff off there, out the cracks, out of your eye sockets. Looks like you're getting dry enough. Spritz. Brings a nice flesh tone to it. And we haven't even done the blue yet. So I'm going to go ahead, seal it, and we'll hit the next color, the last one. So now we're going on to the last step, at least what I'm going to do in this video. And you know, you can use like a darker shades. It's up to you. It's how the tone you're trying to set for your model. Once again, very little paint. I probably put too much. Add a lot of water. And this you'll also blotch off with the sponge, but you don't have to. You don't alcohol spritz this one. Get the water in here going. Wouldn't say it had to be rinsed out perfectly because it's awful watery. You know, we could probably get away with that. Very, very thin. I'm getting a new sponge. Probably don't have to. This stuff is probably dry on these other sponges, but just in case. You want to make sure you get this out of all your cracks and details. And this sponge is rough. I got to be careful because I keep rubbing paint off. I did another repair while I was away from the camera. Gives it that reddish, purplish kind of color. And I'm thinking too, you know, I have been sealing this with just flat, but I'm thinking about maybe sealing it with flat mixed with a little bit of satin, because skin does have a little bit of a sheen to it, a little bit. And lastly, we'll move on to the face. Like I say, you want to make sure you get this out of all your details. And let that dry up. And then I'll hit it with a little bit of the varnish. We'll take a look at it. Alright, so there's the finished product, and it looks like my idea of mixing the varnishes might have worked a little. It has just a little sheen to it. It'll probably get a little duller because it's probably still not all the way dry. Get some, I'll be putting pictures of this on Facebook too, probably before the video even goes out, because I have to edit all this down. Oh, I need a light source coming from here. That's the rough part. You can see you got this nice breakup of colors. I don't think we did too bad on him. Like I said, I'm not a person that paints a lot of skin tones, human skin tones, because I make more monsters than anything. But it's a basic skill that you have to have if you like to make these hobbies, because you are going to run into humans. Alrighty. Well, I hope you enjoyed taking that long journey with me that I'm going to try to make short for you. I ain't feel like showing myself in this video, but if you liked what you saw, go ahead and like it, subscribe it. You know, go ahead and give it a thumbs up if you want. If you got a different way of doing this, hey, put it in the comments and let me know. Interaction is good. But besides that, I might get back to making that car model I'm working on. So once again, let me look at this one more time. Kind of a little bit proud of myself. Hope it gets a little flatter. Because I always think it's going to come out terrible, and it never does. But, all right. Well, be good to each other. Model on.